All right, let's get it. First of all, let me say this. I appreciate the people who watch enough of the shows to know that, like, if there's no crazy intro, that means it's something serious. Sometimes there's no crazy intro because I'm just focused and I got a short period of time and like I gotta do some stuff. So not always that, but also the crazy intros. If I do them every time, then they not special. But let's have this conversation. First things first. Welcome to CNN. I'm Kirk Kennedy. Let's go in. On this channel, man, we take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but indeed expose them. So that's what we intend on doing today. All right, many people are talking about this major story. And listen, I'm going to just say this. I'm not a dude who says I told you so a lot. Because I just think, one, so what? Like, even if you say something's going to happen and it happens, it doesn't make you special. It doesn't make me special. But I do try to highlight the reality, particularly for those of my conservative brothers, because I think there's an idolization of, on all sides, but I'm calling out the conservatives on a political agenda, because we think that our biblical mandate is to make a moral society. More is more important than people who actually believe in Jesus, right? So I've been, for a long time, what we call the left has been exposed, under attack. The term woke, even now, is still being woke. Like, that term is so overused at this point that you can't even, like prime example. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about, right? So I took my boys, I got 3 sons, right? We're a Marvel family, right? So we go watch the Marvel joint. We watched the Marvel joint. The Marvels. I thought it was going to be trash, but not because of like, is woke. I thought it was going to be trash just because Marvel's been slipping a little bit lately. They've been slumming. A couple joints, especially the TV shows, they've been slumming, right? So we go see the Marvel movie. I had low expectations. I liked the joint. I liked it. I was like, hey, what y'all think? My oldest son was like, he ain't like the villain. The girl was the villain. It was an all-girl, primarily female women cast, right? And so, and he said, like, there are all these people calling it woke just because it has like a women cast. Like, somehow, if you have, it's just so overdone. I thought it was a decent movie. I thought it was good. The storyline made sense and all of it. Just because it had 3 women, or 4 women if you include the villain starring, that somehow, like, it was, woke or something. It's just stupid to me, right? This stuff is just dumb. It's just getting out of hand. But I thought this, though. I had this thought. As I watched it and I thought about all this happening, and I realized that the left has been crushed for ever since, Black Lives Matter really came on the scene. The leftist agenda is what it's been called, has been exposed, and much of it has been legitimately fraudulent, all right? Much of it has been legitimately fraudulent, right? And so, and the right was just sulking in that, celebrating. Oh, look at this, look at this, look at this. Look at the left. They're just exploding all these documentaries about the left and all this stuff, right? Look at Trump's doing all this, and the right just seemed like they couldn't be stopped. And I was telling people, I've been saying for the longest time, Billy Joel with it, for the longest time. Oh, I've been talking about it. I said, man, be careful, bro. Like, the right does not have Christ crucified. Y'all are all with your chests out pointing out this because they agree with harm. They agree with a woman's right to choose, all that type of stuff, right? They alphabet community. Y'all think y'all got the moral high ground. And all of a sudden, the Lord, doing what he does, starts to show, okay, I focused on the left. Now let's work our way over to the right. And I've been be honest, I think the Lord is doing this for a particular reason, which we'll talk about in a minute. Stay with me. So now we have a a conundrum. Many of you have seen this already, but I want to just weigh in on this a little bit because I think it's interesting. So now we have the Daily Fire right now, right? So now it's two conservative heavyweights who work for the same company, the Daily Wire. Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro are going head to head. And I tell you, man, if you really have the ability to stay balanced, right, and you really see like all that's happening in this, you'll realize that most of the things that the right accuse the left of, right, the right is also doing themselves, right? It's the same thing. So let me give you an example. Nikki Haley and Vivek Ramaswamy went at it at the last debate, right? And Ramaswamy went after her. She's Dick Cheney in heels, and then her daughter was on TikTok, and she was going after him for being on it. Well, she recently went on a podcast yesterday, I think, and called him sexist, like saying he went after her, the RNC chair, and the woman who was the media lady who was hosting it, and she said he's doing that because he's being sexist. And now some conservative podcasters are calling her woke for doing that. It's the same talking points, fam. It's the same talking points, right? But let's see what happens. So Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens are at odds with each other. And I just want to watch some of this with you so you can see how this all started. All right. So here's apparently how this whole thing started with this particular moment right here from Ben Shapiro. I think he was at a private party and he made these comments about Candace Owens at this party. Someone is recording him from a cell phone, and then they posted it to TikTok. And so let's listen and see what happened.
And then the question was about Candace Owens. I think her behavior during this has been disgraceful. Yeah. Without a doubt. I can't know exactly. Yeah, I mean, she still works for my company. I think she's been absolutely disgraceful. I think that her faux sophistication on these particular issues has been ridiculous.
All right, so he's saying she works for my company. She's been absolutely disgraceful. Her faux, like her fake, faux is just a French word for fake. So basically, her faux perspective on these particular issues has been ridiculous. This is what he's saying.
It's not faux sophistication. It's ridiculous. Everybody can see the moves that she's making and the things that she's saying, and I find them disreputable.
All right, so he says that he finds what she's doing disreputable, right? So Candace Owens apparently found about this like when everyone else did. No one put her hip, and you'll see when she says that in a minute. And she fires back with this tweet, all right? This is a tweet that Candace Owens put on X right after she saw the video. She put this up. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and you shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my name's sake. No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. So I'll be honest with you. I don't know why Candace Owens put this verse up, right? Now, most people think it's a smite at Ben Shapiro because, his ethnicity is known for like money and wanting to be about money. And so this idea of God and money, that's where most people are going with it. That might have been what she was saying, but I think that Candace Owens is, inappropriately attaching whatever backlash she gets as being persecuted for righteousness' sake, right? But this passage is not about people disagreeing with you. It's about people persecuting you because it says, for my sake. Look at the verse. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my name's sake, right? Now, I could be wrong. I don't know what Candace Owens believes, but I've never heard anyone attack Candace Owens for representing Jesus Christ. Like, I've never heard that happen. If it is, somebody hit me with the evidence of it and all that. I've never heard anyone persecuting Candace Owens for the sake of Christ because she represents Christ. So I'm not sure why she put this up, right? But this went up. This, as you can see down here, there's 1.8 million views of this tweet, right? So Ben Shapiro apparently responds with this and says, Candace, if you feel that taking money from the Daily Wire somehow comes between you and God, by all means, quit. So this is a response to her blessed are the peacemakers, the Beatitudes. That was from Matthew 5, right? Beatitudes. So he's saying, if you feel taking money from the Daily Wire somehow comes between you and God, by all means, quit. So mind you, this is all public, right? Now, people are shocked because these are conservative heavyweights, right? Supposedly on the same team, some different opinions on issues. They go back to different opinions on the vaccine, on certain issues related to Kanye West and what he thought and all that, right? But this is essentially a lot of people who are conservative look to some of them. I mean, I remember especially with Candace Owens, whenever someone black was like killed by a police officer, something in the media, whatever, Candace Owens would have a hot take on it, basically saying the opposite of whatever black people were saying. So if they thought it was unjust, she was like, no, it wasn't. All this stuff. I don't remember her even coming back and apologizing for some of the things that she proved to be wrong in, right? So these were conservatives would be like, hey, well, what do you think about what she said, right? Especially giving it to black people who would disagree, as if because Candace Owens is black and she disagrees that somehow trumps the situation. So she's been used a lot by conservatives and lifted up, and Ben Shapiro as well. Really sharp dude, really quick-witted, taking down the left and all that, and people rallied around them and almost built a foundation of trust around the conservative party because the left was so being exposed. But now the Lord seemingly is now going and exposing the right. And I've been saying this from the beginning. Like, you got to be careful. The deeds of darkness are on all sides, right? So Ben Shapiro responds with, Candace, if you feel that taking money from the Daily Wire somehow comes between you and God, by all means, quit, right? Candace Owens shoots back with this. You are utterly out of line for suggesting that I cannot quote biblical scripture. The Bible is not about you. Now, here's the thing with that. She's right. The Bible's not about him. But come on, man. I'm sorry, Candace. Like, we all know what like subtweets are, and we get it. We know what's going on. We've seen you play many games. You just basically were on your show saying you are supporting Nikki Haley for the president of Israel. Trolling. Like, you troll. Like, who's that trip trapping under my bridge? Like, you've been trolling for the longest time, right? You in the troll house. So, like, of course Ben Shapiro is going to say that. And this is the funny thing about trolls. Like, Candace Owens purports herself to be this bold woman, and maybe she is. If she was really talking about Ben Shapiro, that's weak then. Because you're supposed to say, well, look, hey, I'm talking about you, and this is why I said that, but it's like, the Bible's not about you. Of course. This is what people do. They really trying to say something, but because they didn't literally say it, they can say, well, that's not what I said. And it's like, yeah, but the Lord knows what was in your heart. And I don't. I'm not saying she is, but it just, the timing of it seems, and the people that know her well seem like she was coming at this dude. So she says that, right? And then she says, you have been acting unprofessional and emotionally unhinged for weeks now, and we have all had to sit back and allow it, and have all tried to exercise exceeding understanding for your raw emotion. But you cross a certain line when you come for scripture and read yourself into it. I will not tolerate it. I have no idea what she means by she will not tolerate it. Like, I don't know who Candace Owens is that she will not, like, I don't know what that means. I don't know what she intends to do with that, right? But there's this, it's interesting because, again, I've been saying this for the longest time. The same, like, Ben Shapiro is as passionate about Israel and as single-minded about what's happening to the Jews, particularly in and if you say anything negative is anti-Semitic, but when it was the left and black people said that it was systemic racism or something like that, even if they didn't really mean everything is racist, a lot of times, because of the internet, a lot of times we end up using terms that are familiar to us, but we don't always mean what that term means in the grand scale. Like, so there are people that would like see a cop shoot somebody black, unnecessarily so. And they might say that's systemic racism, going after the fact that this happens a lot. Now, if you attack what people mean by that term, that everything, the laws haven't changed, that's not what people mean, right? So like, this is what would happen when people would say these things. But then when Ben Shapiro or people on the conservative side, when it's something that they're passionate about, they say the same thing. Ben Shapiro is not willing to acknowledge and show any sort of nuance at all, just like people who thought systemic racism or whatever, or things against black people are still skewed, were unwilling to do that. I'm telling you, y'all, it's the same thing. When the issue is what you care about, you use the same talking points. I remember when I did a debate with Vodi Bakum some years ago, and he wrote the book Fault Lines. He wrote in the book, one of his attacks against the left is, and they brought this up at the debate that I did with him and Tim Brindle, where they talked about the left uses narratives, right? Their stories, and they make you they make you listen to their narratives, and that becomes truth. But then in the book, he was like, well, many of you don't know my story, and until you know that, you don't know me. And then he tells his whole story. We all use stories, fam. We all use narratives. The Bible is primarily narrative. The Gospels are narratives more than imperatives, right? Like, story is how God connects with us, how we connect to people. But when you say, oh, when you guys use stories, you're being woke. When you use it, it's the same thing, fam. It's the same thing. And so now I think the Lord's exposing it. Charlie Kirk, one of Candace Owens' counterparts for Talking Points, weighed in and texted, I am genuinely confused why asking questions and quoting Bible verses about peace warrants a call to resign from Daily Wire. There should be more room in the conservative movement for disagreement. We can do better than this. But this is a dude who disagrees with almost everyone. He chops down there. Listen, nuance has been gone. Let me tell you why nuance is gone. Because to be nuanced is to try to apply grace to people's lives. It's to assume that what these people think and believe, there may be more behind it than just the talking points. And so that's that. But they can't even do it among themselves. And I'm calling this out because I've watched the conservatives call out the liberals, the left, for the last 10, 12 years as if nothing's wrong with them. They're untouchable. And now they're imploding. They're imploding. And I think it's for a reason. So if that wasn't worse, and I don't know Candace Owens at all, but Candace Owens goes on Tucker Carlson's show on Twitter. I need you to watch this. Let me tell you why. I've never said this before, but I say it now. Tucker Carlson is from the hood. I genuinely believe before he got popular, before the bow tie and all that, I genuinely believe that Tucker Carlson is from the hood. It's from the hood. Let me tell you why. Watch this. You want to see why. Watch this video with him and Candace Owens. Listen to how this goes. Watch this.
Absolutely disgraceful, particularly a coworker. Seems like a pretty big step. And I really don't know the background here. What is that about?
You know, there isn't much of a background. I saw the video when everybody else saw it when I woke up.
No one warned you about it.
Nobody warned me about it. It looks like maybe he didn't know he was being recorded. It looks like it was some sort of a private event. I got no clarity on the issue that he was particularly speaking on. And in what was said, I can't respond to it beyond what he's saying because it's just ad hominem attacks. I don't know.
Yeah, because it's not, we disagree, or I don't think she's correct, or maybe she doesn't know what she's talking about. It's absolutely disgraceful.
Yeah, exactly.
See that? I'm sorry to laugh at this, but this is what I mean. What he just did, that's straight hood. In the hood, this is what we call that. We call that instigating, right? This dude was like, nah, it wasn't just that. It was disgraceful. Like, he's really trying to get Candace Owens to be fired up. Hey, Tucker Carlson I don't know where he's from, but I bet you his best friend was black in high school. This dude is instigating. He's making sure, this ain't even the end of it. He's making sure that she knows he said it was absolutely disgraceful. Like, this is all the conservatives, right? You can't make this stuff up.
And so I can't respond to it on a level of intellect because there's nothing that he has expressed at least in that short clip, that he fundamentally disagrees with in terms of what I said. But I will say that I'm not going to respond with the same ad hominem attacks. Yes. I don't think it helps further discussion. And if that was me, that was caught on a video saying that about colleagues that I work with, I would be embarrassed. So I think that the video speaks more to Ben's character than it speaks to mine.
Has he texted you to apologize or explain or anything?
No, what tends to happen is, of course.
Listen, I don't believe that Tucker Carlson didn't know that he didn't like, this is all just, and keep in mind, this is happening right after this back and forth between Ben Shapiro and Candace Owens on Twitter. On Twitter. And then now she's on the Twitter talk show and talking about this. This is fascinating.
Of course, we all have elements of selfishness within us. And so when it particularly pertains to an issue that impacts you, I was strongly speaking out against Black Lives Matter as an organization very early on as a conservative because I understood what the implications were going to be of defunding the police.
Right.
It was an issue that was important to me. I created an entire documentary to talk about this issue.
Yes.
And I held on for a long time, and people began to see that actually I was telling the truth. And now we have more death in inner city communities than we had before.
Yes.
These riots and these George Floyd protests calling for defunding of the police. And I think in terms of this, that's what's also happened is that people that are pro-Israel are pro-Israel, a lot of them, because they have family members in Israel.
I get it.
They have homes in Israel.
Yes.
And so they feel very attached to this issue. And, I was very happy to host somebody who was pro-Israel. He's a pro-Israel comedian on my show the other day. And I explained this to him. I said, you are demanding that we have this same response that you are having about what people are saying on college campuses.
See, listen, I wish I had the time to go back and show you guys how much everything that they're doing right now, they attacked when it was the left coming from a perspective on race or whatever it was. It was the same stuff that they're doing. They said that they accuse the left of doing. Man, I'm probably going to do a video on it because some of y'all are so theoretical with it that you just gonna think I'm just talking out the side of my neck like I don't got receipts. I just ain't feel like putting all of it together for this because I just want to throw something out there for y'all. But it's these people. I'm sorry, man. They don't. If you're a believer, I don't think they care about what you care about. I don't think they do. And so this stuff it's the same thing. Now they're fighting with each other, accusing each other of the same stuff they accuse the left of doing. Rightly so. The left was doing a lot of that, but it wasn't all that.
The rhetoric on college campuses hasn't changed. Did you not remember what they were saying, what professors were saying, the anti-white explicit racism that was happening, and not even just allowed in terms of student protests, but was written into the curriculum?
So I actually think that was.
So this is the thing, fam. I think I'm gonna say this. I think the Lord is exposing a lot of this. So let me talk first to my liberal brothers. And by liberal, I mean people who are Christian that vote Democrat, who are looking at this and are excited about it, right? Because it's like, look at y'all. The Lord has been exposing the ideologies of the left for a long time, at least for the last, honestly, this is 2023. So I would say Mike Brown was 2014, and that's when Black Lives Matter kind of jumped up. The Lord has exposed a lot of the evil within the left, right? The evil. And the people who are with that side of the political realm, the Lord has been putting his foot on the neck of that, trying to help believers who subscribe to that see, like, do you see what these people believe, right? You see how they carry themselves. You see, and conservatives were right there, like, Look at what how could no Christian can vote Democrat, right? As if like in a two-party system, you have two options and you vote for one of them and like your eternal salvation is hinging on that. Let me just say this real quick. Jesus Christ, right? The Father, the Holy Spirit, God, the people who will judge each of us from Revelation 20, right? The books will be open, the deeds will be done, the name written in the book of life. The Lord knows why you do what you do. He knows if you really love him and if you don't. He knows if you voted this way because you fully support the political agenda or if you're reacting to having some things you care about. Don't listen to these people tell you that you can't be a Christian and vote, because there's only two options for the most part, two options that make a difference. The Lord knows who belongs to him. And no one's eternal destination is hinging on who they vote for once every couple of years. It just doesn't happen that way. The Lord's going to deal with our hearts and know, because there are going to be a lot of people who voted conservative that are not going to make it because the Lord knows their hearts, right? But I would say this, if you're on the left, the temptation to gloat as you're watching this is going to be, I get it because some of it is funny. I think some of it is fascinating because the conservatives have made themselves appear, at least, especially with Donald Trump, as almost like indestructible and destroying the left. And that's really why Donald Trump won. Donald Trump didn't win because anyone trusted him. He won because he would mock the left. He was the Donald. He would make fun of the left. And that's what more people were so tired of the left that they wanted to put one of the most immoral men that we could think of to ever sit in the office of presidency, to sit in the office primarily because he just crushed the left. I mean, from fake news on down, he just dismantled the left, and people want that. That's what people wanted. They wanted that. It wasn't because they thought, oh, he's going to do it. Maybe because of some Supreme Court, he might put some, and then he put Supreme Court justices up, and they didn't do, they don't even agree with a lot of stuff he said, but that's not what I'm here to say. Don't gloat if you're on the left because, like, the Lord is already exposed. You can't put any confidence in the political left, man. They do not care about they might have a couple of things. You might think universal health care and letting people in the country who are fleeing from violence, those things may seem biblical to you. And so you vote. There are other reasons why I get it. But I think the Lord is exposed that you can't put your confidence in the left, the political left of this nation. They do not care what you care about. To my conservative brothers, especially those of you who have argued with me, who've called me woke because I refuse to stand with you in all these issues and point the finger at one side only. To those of you who have arrogantly made it seem like your party is the party of Christ and all of that, I think your party is being exposed by Christ. God is showing you, God loves you enough, my conservative brother, to show you that you have idolized a political party. And don't go in the comment section and say, well, I haven't. I'm not talking to you then, right? I hate when people act like I made a video just for you. If this doesn't apply to you, sweet. But it applies to people. Don't tell me, well, I don't know anybody. You don't know that many people. You probably can't name 100 people that you know. Like, don't tell me I don't know anybody. I don't want to hear that. I, for years, have watched it. I've been out here making videos, been saying it, putting it in music, all that. So I don't want to hear all of that. Oh, I don't know anyone. Then I'm not talking to you then. Speed on, right? But for those of you, the Lord is really trying to show you that, like, the conservatism is not the same thing as Christian. And I'm going to be honest. You've been convinced by politics that the way to change the nation is through politics. I've never heard any conservative Christian politicians really call for fasting and prayer to change the nation. I've never heard it. It's always vote for us because we'll put justices in place. It's all man-made. And I think the Lord is saying, you've forgotten your first love, fam. You've put so much confidence in conservative politics. And the reality is because, like I said on my video the other day, you just don't want to deal with persecution. You don't want to be persecuted for your faith. And so you think that backing these conservatives is somehow more pleasing to God. And you don't know that. You know, there's no Bible verses that tell you that. You just believe that because it makes sense to you. And the Lord is exposing the hypocrisy within the political party that you've been idolizing for years. I'm not saying don't vote for them. If you vote for them, but I'm saying, like, don't recognize that these people do not have your values at heart. Stop idolizing them as the God option because they are not. God is not pleased with, listen, remember when God told Peter in Matthew 16, get behind me, Satan? I've said this a bunch of times, but you got to say it 5 times for people to hear it once. When God told Peter that, get behind me, Satan, that was Peter saying, far be it from you, Lord, to be killed, because Peter loved Jesus and didn't want him to die. And Jesus said that was satanic thinking. If God told Peter, your thinking is satanic because you don't want me to die on the cross, then what do you think he thinks about all the political positions you have? You really think God is behind gun rights and First Amendment, all these laws that people, First Amendment rights? We don't have First Amendment rights in the Bible. We're not allowed to say whatever we want to say because we're told in Ephesians 4 and James 3, the taming of the tongue is biblical, right? We're not supposed to just go off of the Constitution. We're supposed to go off of the Christitution, right? So I just think all of this should just make everyone be like, okay, Lord, I see what you're doing. I see it. I'm not going to gloat and point finger, but I see what you're doing. That's my son's coming home from school. That's his bus. I got the window open. We doing it gangster around here. The window. It's my son. He's going to walk up in here and be like, what's up, Poppy? That's my dude. But the Lord is exposing that. He's just telling you, look, man, stop putting your confidence in these people. Go ahead and vote for them. Vote for what you think is why we live on this earth. But I've seen some of you conservative brothers, liberal too, I've seen you go at believers, fellow brothers in Jesus, because they disagree with you politically. People that you're going to spend eternity with, you fought over people who are not going to make it to eternity. You fought with them. You've aligned yourself with them more than your brothers in Christ. I just think the Lord is exposing all of this. Like, remember me. Vote for me. And obviously he's not on the ballot. We vote for the Lord by obeying him in our attributes, our character, our thoughts, even when we don't like what's happening. So I just think all of this stuff, even though I said I told you so for a long time, I've seen it. The Lord is now showing it. I don't want to hear anybody else on the conservative side boast about conservatism as the party that more is like Christ. These people are a house divided against themselves, just like the left. So vote what you're going to vote. Do what you're going to do because that's what you are. But don't forget who you are, right? You know, vote your conscience, but don't lose your conscience for a vote, fam. It's not worth it. These conservatives, man, they fighting over the dumbest stuff, and then none of them are thinking about Christ. I don't think Candace Owens' tweet, I don't think it, and I could be wrong, but I don't think her tweet had anything to do with Christ. I think it was just quoting a Bible verse to kind of push back in a certain way that would ruffle feathers. Ben's not a Christian and all that stuff. So all of that. So anyway, you take it for what it's worth. I'm Kirk Kennedy, man. Go to kirkkennedy.com. I got the Believe Until You Leave hat right here. This the fit. Go to kirkkennedy.com. If you're watching on YouTube, it should be merch down there. If it's not, let me know because they faking on me, all right? Peace, man. I appreciate y'all. We got to persevere to the end. We got to believe until you leave, right? Don't die twice. Revelation 20:15. Don't die twice, fam. They said you only live once, but you could die twice. Persevere to the end. We only die once, all right? Grace and peace, y'all.